Peace to all Israel, home and abroad. Um, I think this is gonna be on the Moors. You know what I'm saying? Our relationship to them. Um, we're coming into a time where everybody and everything, everybody in the world are now gonna be set in their rightful place. True understanding is being given to everybody. True history is being re-emerging upon the earth, to where all Israel shall know who they are. I know a lot of people say Moors means Moabite. It comes from Moabites, but you dig a little deeper, you find out Moor is just another word for Negro. And as we descend from the time of Christ down to, the 1600s, 1400s, 1300s, and you try to learn what was truly happening after the time of Christ, even when the disciples were set forth into the world, you're trying to figure out where'd they go, what they did, and what was their impact to the world. This is what you want to learn, because that will give you true insight on what Christ really meant. See, sometimes I feel like we go into Europe and we try to figure out what the European aspect of our lives were. And we should have went into Egypt and into West Africa and into those lands where we actually ruled and see what we said. The majority of us said. Not those that went into, Europe and conquered Spain and Scotland and Ireland and Britain. We shouldn't have looked at what they were saying, because we should have known that they would have been tampered with by the Renaissance. But the stuff in Africa wasn't going to be tampered with, because their records would have been hidden. That would have been hidden. And that's where we should have went, and to really look at history and see our perspective of what was happening at that time. Right? I'm not saying the King James Bible is false. I'm not saying that the Septuagint is false. What I'm saying is the historical aspects and the historical dialogue that they would give us is totally different from what the European would have given us. Because whatever they would have gave us from the European aspect is to shed light upon who they are and what they want us to think. That's where we kind of fell. Because some of us failed to dig, because we believe our belief system is superior to having the understanding and the knowledge of what was truly happening in those days and times. So when somebody says that there are more, I don't take that as they're off or they don't know what they're doing. Yes, some are going to give false information based off of what they think, right? But it's up to you to discern between the good and the evil. It's up to you. Yeah, I'm going to, we're all going to fall short, because we're going to see something and it'll look true until somebody, comes in and shows you a little more into what was being told. But you don't hold that person accountable that showed you that, because they believe that cold-heartedly. This is the truth within the knowledge that we're receiving. Because, like I said, everybody is getting stuck in their belief system, and they're not pushing forward. And with the Moors, you're actually learning the recent history from our perspective. What we were saying, what we were doing, how we were moving around the earth. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it as, oh, the this and this and this. Like, this is better than this, and we're not this, we're this. No. You're not going to confuse me with that stuff, because I'm not anything outside of what I already am. That's period, point blank, period. I'm not anything outside of what I already am. So as long as I have my foundation, my square, and I stick in that square and I filter all knowledge through that square, which the square is my relationship between me and God. That is my relationship between me and the rest of you. That's how I see it. So my relationship to God is my relationship to you. So when the Moors say in 1492, that Christopher Columbus had Moors upon the ship that showed him how to get here, and then that the Moors were already here in the Americas, and then they had made treaties, and then they had already named this land, and they were already had ships that were coming back and forth, and they had Moors that were on the ships that knew the language of those that lived here. And they was already dealing with those that already lived here in the Americas. This gives validity. This gives validity to what the orders was given unto Peter and Paul and all the rest of the disciples. It gives validity. Because what? Christ tells Peter to feed his sheep. Feed his sheep. Did he say just stay in that side of the world when we already knew that Israel came to this side of the world? We already knew that as Israelites from the time of Solomon in the Assyrian captivity. We knew that. We knew that they came over here. So when the Moors tell you that, yo, during 1492, we were already over here, and they came over here and enslaved us over here in this land. They're telling you what it is. They're showing you what it is. They're showing you the lineage down into who we truly are. They're giving it to you. Yes, they might have little things off here and there, but doesn't everybody? You have a guy named Tazadakia out here calling himself the Comforter after Ariah. Then you have brothers out here that's going after Ariah saying he's a false prophet because of the 12 tribe breakdown. But everybody else believes that the Israelites are already here in the Americas. Now, didn't the scripture say we was going to be scattered across the four corners of the earth? Just because there was other nations here, as far as Japhetic people that came over here as well, does not mean that we wasn't here. Sometimes it's like we're talking. When I'm seeing brothers do certain things and say certain things, sometimes it's like I'm looking at a brick wall. See, I'm able to discern between truth and lie, good and evil, from when somebody's talking. And how do I do that? I base it off of what I've already learned through the Nag Hammadi text, through the Bible, through Hermes Trismegistus. Through these three teachings, I'm able to see what's truly happening, right? You look at Muhammad, and they revere this man as a prophet. As a prophet. You go into the scriptures and we know that Israel are the only prophets on the earth. Only ones that have divine connection to the Most High. We know this. So then we look at certain books like from Babylon to Timbuktu, where this man says Muhammad came and started. Well, guess what? There was a lot of Muhammads out here. There's a lot of Muhammads. I can meet 5 different Muhammads with the same exact name. And think and still think that these people are the same. Sometimes we just stop. We stop based off of our own belief of whatever a leader tells us and say, you know what? I don't need no understanding of God as long as my leader tells me who God is. That doesn't give you understanding. That makes you lean onto your own understanding of God. If his ways is higher than your ways, if God's ways is higher than your ways, how can you say that this person has all the truth in the world? Has he read all the books? Some people are just they would just neglect books because the name sounds weird or the information in it sounds off, without even giving it its proper due. To really see this is where I'm getting this from, right? The vegan thing, right? The vegan thing. In Revelations, it tells you that those that add or take away from the book shall be cursed, right? Paul is saying in there, not in Revelations, but in Romans, that anybody that is a vegan is weak, right? You go into the Essene Gospels and Christ is telling you that God created everything. God created everything. And he does not want you to kill his animals. And you will argue that down. You will argue that down because of what it says in Romans. Not knowing, not thinking that Revelations is telling you that they will add and they will take it away. How do you know? Because if you read other Bibles, it tells you the same things. Tells you this. They do the same thing. They took Matthews 18 and 11 out of other books. So you don't think that they would add things in to our books like Christ eating meat? Now, if God created everything and he's following God, his Father, the only begotten Son, and he's telling you that he doesn't eat meat in the Essene Gospels because God created everything and he doesn't want to see bloodshed of any animal so that you can find nourishment, why would you argue that? Why would that be off to you? Why would that be weird to you? Why would you argue that? And then when people show you in Jeremiah chapter 7, where it says, I didn't give you sacrifices. God didn't give us sacrifices in the time of Moses. We did that off of the hardness of our own hearts. Now you're saying that we didn't have hardness of our own hearts as you're doing it today? When somebody tells you, yo, there's other books where Christ went to see the Essenes, which you got to realize too as well, that the Essenes were Israelites. And they're going to tell you that Christ didn't go see other people. He didn't go see his people in the Bible. But then the Essene Gospels is telling you he went mad places throughout the world. He was in Egypt, learned in Egypt. I mean, like, sometimes it's like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what we argue. What we argue is like we're not discerning between the good and the evil. We will look at something, right? There's books where there was a guy on Sonetta TV where he was talking about Vlad the Impaler and the type of meats that these white people were eating. The type of things that they were eating. So of course they're going to want you to do it. Because they know it takes you, black men, away from your God. By eating those meats, by killing his precious animals on the earth, making things extinct, putting them in farms where they're slaughtering them. But you don't see that. You want to argue it down because it says it in Leviticus. In Leviticus. When in Revelations it tell you whoever adds or takes away from the book. You don't even want to try to find out who God is. How can you say you studied to show thyself approved unto God if you argue things that you don't even understand yourself? You're just listening to somebody else. And these are good leaders. These are great leaders. You know them by their fruits. But because you, as followers of these camps and these leaders, you don't take it upon yourself to study God yourself. When a brother told me when I left ICGJC, because I did not want to worship a man, because I didn't want to worship a man, that I was going off, that I had Satan in me, because I don't want to condone the foolishness that this man was doing by taking money out of my pocket where I couldn't eat, I couldn't survive, and I have Satan in me. And Christ says, yo, they didn't hate you. They don't hate you. They hate me. And I refuse to think that my brothers hate God, hate Christ. I leave that to those that manipulate us on the outside world for riches and prosperity in the world. I leave that for them. That understanding for them. Not those that are trying to do what's right amongst us, do the laws. I mean, in any sane person's mind, you know, or rational person that is within these camps, and they're saying, you know, the Leviticus law is telling us this, to do this, this, and this. And then you have the Essenes and you have the Nazarites and you have the different sects of Israel that did different things to show their relationship to God. And you still say, you know what? This is a pure book. Instead of saying in your mind, you know, I have to find this out for myself. Yes, this man is divinely inspired to teach us who we truly are. But now it takes, as becoming a man, it takes the time for me to learn from myself what this truly is. What this faith is. What is my faith in? Is it in my leader? Is it in the Christ that they gave us? That they gave us? Think about this. Think about this. The Nag Hammadi text says something totally different than what the Christian churches are teaching. Right? Think about this. What is our main difference compared to the rest of the world that believes in Christ? We all believe Christ came to save people, right? They might believe the whole world. We might believe it's just Israel. We believe that Christ is the Son of God, right? We believe in the Passover and the Pentecost, right? They doing the same thing by eating the blood and the flesh, right? What is our main difference? And that's what you want to learn. You want to learn what gods they are worshiping in order for you not to worship them. But we don't do that. We don't do that. We think that just because we congregate together and say we're Israelites, we're different. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Because you're still doing what they're doing. You created another religion. And you think that the superior, not the superior, but the elite races of the earth that control everything now don't realize you created another religion? You think they don't realize that by your traditions? By still partaking in their sacrifices to their gods? By working for them, by eating with them, by clothing with them, by everything we do, it comes from them. Still, you think we're not doing our sacrifices to their gods? By in want of all things? Us just wanting to be in rulership. Us wanting to be in rulership is a worship to their gods. You don't even realize that. You don't even realize that. Us wanting to be in rulership is wanting to be with their gods or sacrificing to their gods. We don't even realize that, though. These are profound things that you should want to know so that you don't partake in what they're doing. It's really that simple, man. It's really that simple. It's really that easy. And it's really that logical. It's really that logical. Because we're going to sit and we're going to see the Chinese people eating dogs, cats, dolphins, gators, everything known to man. And we just say, no, I don't think we should eat that. We should eat this animal. But God created it all, right? So why would he want us to eat anything? Oh, then people are going to say, oh, this guy is off because in Noah, he gave him 7 animals and 2 that were unclean, 7 that were clean. Not knowing diddly squat of our battle with the gods. You know diddly squat on our battle with the gods and what they were eating, those gods, and what they was making us eat. You think that we gave up on stuff from the time of Adam? No. Christ was always coming and telling us, yo, don't follow this guy. That God is, and we was always like, nah, you're Satan. This is the true God. Because the God that came deceived the shit out of us. Made us think that he was the true God when we was actually worshiping the true God before he came. Genesis is just an outline. It's an outline of the beginning of time. It's an outline. Christ explains it all in the Nag Hammadi text, which came out of Egypt, where he went. Sometimes, man, it's not frustrating. Not frustrating, but it just shows that we're on a true path of enlightenment, and that all of this is for us to really take in stride. The next generation is the ones that are going to start teaching us, you know, the difference between their gods and our God. That's what this is. That's what this is. The difference between their gods and our God. And how we're keeping their gods in power. We take away their power by not eating with them, by not purchasing with them any longer. If you grow food that God told you to grow, can you not eat? Can you not eat and still be pure? The honesty of the Most High, and the sheer patience of that which is good. which is only the Father. He's only good. But the sheer patience of him, of watching us descend into chaos, from the time of Adam. Israel would say this, right? Israel would say, oh, in the time of Adam, there was millions of people. God created millions of people at one time. There wasn't just one man or one woman. But those two are the ones that you find after the flood being the progenitors of everybody else because of a flood. Not understanding that those people before that were probably doing something totally different. Now you could go and look throughout the world and see great things. And nobody knows where they came from. They give you speculations. The Israelites made it. The white people made it. No, that stuff is from before. We don't take the time to actually study because we feel that we already know, and we only stay within one book. And we think that's the end all be all because of one verse that says that. That says, you don't need any other books as its mate. We're not comparing the books. I mean, we're not saying it's its mate. We're not saying that it is superior or better. Because that book woke us up. That's all it was meant to do, to wake us up into the true knowledge of who God truly is. So how can you compare any other book to that? Now you have to go and dig into the information that was left for us so that we can figure out who we truly are. Who and what we were truly created to be from the time of Adam. We descended into chaos. A God came here, told us it was good to eat the animals of this earth, and we took it hook, line, and sinker, thinking that he was a superior God, not knowing that he was just created just like us. That's like Stargate SG-1, man. The movie. They was worshiping this God and all types of foolishness. But yeah, man, the Moors is giving us validity to who we truly are and what the scriptures is actually saying. Moor just means black, Negro. That's what that means. And yes, they were the Native Americans that were here. Some of them are the Native Americans that were here. And when we came here, we reunited with our brethren and we made a national name. We were still Israelites. We still held dear and saying that we truly submit to the Most High. Of course, we were going to go off that during the time of the Dark Ages and the Renaissance, because that wasn't the resurrection that we was to have until now. That was the first one after Christ. And then we had to go back into darkness where Satan was to rule again. Now we're in the second resurrection. The resurrection isn't talking about dead bodies that are in the ground. It's talking about the dead minds and the dead people that's walking these streets. That don't know that they're Israelites and they're the true chosen people of God. That's the true resurrection. The second resurrection. You can read about it in Ezekiel. And we still don't connect the dots. From Revelations to Ezekiel, we're still saying, oh, dead bodies are going to come out of the ground. We're not looking at it as metaphors. Because he couldn't write what was actually going to happen. That's crazy. He couldn't write it when he was in jail. You think they would have let it? Oh, this guy's giving them a blueprint. No. They're like, yo, this guy talking about dragons and all. We could look and say, yo, the seven-headed dragon is the seven kingdoms of the white man. But we can't say, oh, the resurrection is us waking up. What? We have to say it's dead bodies for real, though? Christ gave us the keys and told us that we are the anointed. We are Christ. We are the body of Christ. In Corinthians, that are fighting amongst each other, saying, this brother saying he don't need this brother. And he telling you, though, there should be no schism amongst you. But we don't, you know, Paul saying, yo, I wish that you all teach the same thing, which we all do, but we don't recognize it. Oh, because he's not reading the Hebrew, or he's not calling them the right name of God, blah, blah, blah. You have your own orders. You might not know it's an order or your mission. You have your own order and mission. One might be the head and one might be the arm. The head doesn't do the same thing as the arm. So come on, man. We need to get it together, yo. We need to get it together and really start evaluating what we're really looking at. What we're truly looking at. Telling me, oh, the Moors is this and the Moors is that. Who cares what they are? Yo, they're giving us descendable, meaning a line of descent from the time of Christ to us. Which, yo, it's crazy because if they can lie on religion, which is actually history, they can lie on religion, which is actually history, and then we won't think that they will lie on recent events. When I say recent, I'm talking about things that was 100, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. We think that they wouldn't lie on recent events. So us coming on ships doesn't have to mean we came on slave ships. It could only also mean we came over here of our free will, and then they came over here and enslaved us where we were. Because obviously we forgot that we was Israelites again after that 1,000 years after Christ. Duh. But yo, at the end of the day, three brothers, Esau, Ishmael, and Isaac. I mean, yeah, I would say Isaac, but it's actually Jacob. Three children. This one, Ishmael, he's the oldest out of the two, Esau and Jacob. So of course he's gonna be running. He's gonna be running Esau around the world, making him do a whole bunch of dumbass shit. But at the same time, they're using our records where we're divinely inspired by God to write. Hey man, I'm Furious Black. And we're the Israelites. The Moors are Israelites. They might be going the wrong way about things or not having the full understanding of ancient history, but they got damn well good recent history. And if you don't pay attention to that, you're a fool. You're a fool. And we need to go work with other brothers to bring about our kingdom. That's what this is about, our kingdom. It's time to stop saying Christ is going to save us when Christ told you he already saved you. He said he's brought the kingdom. He is the kingdom. So, and if he is the kingdom, which is Christ, and you are the body of Christ, you are the kingdom. So why are you waiting? Anyway, yo, I'm Furious Black, and I hope that you paid attention and I was clear in everything I said, and you understand where I'm going with all this. So, peace and light to all brothers home and abroad. Home and abroad. So, with that, I'm going to say peace.